Yeah, so I'm super excited because this is like one of my favorite real estate partners up here, just up the road, a couple hours from me. We've got Dilara Wentz chatting with us today. So this is going to be a lot of fun because one, obviously, we connect quite a bit and we chat quite a bit. So I love this, and I'm excited for other people to hear about things that are going on in your business. Obviously, you're up in Northern Virginia, so that market it's like it's always crazy. It's not
Yeah.
it hasn't just like been crazy for the last 2 years. You guys are always up and down, like just intense. It's an intense
hmm
market. Um, but you're also doing some really cool stuff. So first of all, tell everybody really quick where you're at specifically in Northern Virginia and a little bit about your background and your business because you're a military spouse too, which is what really connects us even
Yeah.
closer.
Yes. So I'm Dilara Wentz. I'm out of the Northern Virginia region. I actually reside in Stafford, Virginia. I'm a military spouse. My husband is active duty on Quantico, and I've been licensed for 4 years, and I have a small, mighty team, and we've closed over 150 deals, and we're on pace to do about 70 this year.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah. And I love the fact that you guys are small and mighty too, because I think that's the part that obviously resonates with me quite a bit because we are as well. I mean, um, and we tend to get quite a bit done for a small and mighty team. So what
hmm
what even brought you to as a military spouse, right? Like this is what's always intriguing to me, right? Because there's a chance you could have, right? You guys are wrapping things up, but you could have had to pick up stakes and PCS or make your military move for those that are not familiar with the lingo
hmm
somewhere else. And we both have a lot of friends who've done that, right? Like I'm actually going to go have lunch here in a few minutes with a military spouse friend of mine here who I think is licensed in like Guam, Texas,
hmm
Virginia, and another state. So, what was it about real estate that you were like, I this is what I need to do?
So I had bought a house that was a complete problem home when we first moved here, and my realtor didn't really guide me through the process very well or anything like that. And one day, my husband and I were arguing over cucumbers because we were so far into debt fixing that house, and we just kind of hit a wall where I was like, this is not okay. Like us arguing over produce in the middle of a store because we're afraid our card's going to decline at the checkout is not where I want to be in life. So I looked at my Alta statement and saw how much my real estate agent made. And I was like, dang, she wasn't the most awesome. And I thought, if she could do it, like I most definitely can do it. And I was a little scared at first, for sure. Real estate's a ebbs and flow business, so I just kind of decided, let me research how the real estate market is here in the Northern Virginia, DC area, and see what it did during the worst times and kind of those kind of things. And really realize that I don't think I'll ever be in an instant where I won't be selling anything. So, and I really wanted to help other families not get stuck in the situation that I did.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons that brought me into the business as well. I felt like I could really serve people really well, which I think when you come from that servant heart,
Yeah.
right, and that mentality, it comes back to you tenfold. I mean, we talk about it, but your actual proof of that, right? When you
Yeah.
coming from contribution isn't just lip service to a lot of us. It's a real
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I realized too that like I'm not in sales, right? I'm not like selling anybody on buying a house they don't want to buy. I mean, some people do that, right? But for me, you don't have to be a salesperson to be successful in this. You just have to come from contribution. And that's really where I'm at. I love meeting other military families. I love helping them build wealth. I mean, the amount of money people are walking away with now is just crazy and is life changing money, especially as military, families. Like that just doesn't exist in any other realm.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I mean, I think I tell the story frequently of splitting $5 footlongs 3 ways between my kids, and
Mm-hmm.
going to the bank as a military family and those kind of things, never being able to catch up because we moved so much. So
Yeah.
my income was always so volatile and
Right.
not something we could depend on. And I don't think, amongst a million other issues in life. So I don't know if everybody can truly grasp that. You're 100% right. This has been a game changing couple of years for a lot of military families, and I
Yeah.
think, um, coming from contribution as you are and as we try to do, and educating people on the realities of being able to build wealth, and especially for our VA buyers, right, leveraging that zero down payment option is such
Yeah.
a brilliant thing to do. And it's an earned benefit, right? We could go
Correct.
on a long rant that I know everybody has read on Facebook about why people should accept, VA loans if they're
Oh yeah.
selling, and all the misinformation out there about it, but we
Oh
won't do
yeah.
that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, absolutely, coming from contribution, and you kind of, you took it a step farther with an event that I saw that you did for clients in your area that was so perfect for not just military spouses, but people relocating to a new area, right? Like,
Yeah.
I remember even in my own area of Hampton Roads down here, I mean, we've got these big cities, and I moved from one end to another and knew nobody when I moved to the other end because they're like an hour and a half apart at times, right?
Yeah.
And so this was such a brilliant idea to me that I loved it so much that I was like, we have to talk about this. So you did speed dating for friends, which
Yeah.
just too cool when you're, especially in a market like yours, right? Like, that's a big metropolitan area,
Oh
right? So
yeah.
to make friends, and as adults, making friends is like the hardest thing. So tell me a little bit about this event, where the idea came from, and kind of like the ins and outs of it, and like if we could give kind of a random playbook on it.
Yeah. So I definitely I didn't know anybody when we moved here, and I'm originally from Seattle. My husband's from Ohio. When I moved here, I knew one person, and I was a stay-at-home mom. And my husband would always say, you need to make friends, right? Like, you're always home, you're talking to your 2-year-old. Like, you need to go out and make adult friends. And believe it or not, I'm not a super extroverted person. I'm actually very introverted when it comes to business. I can, put myself out there, but in my personal life, I'm actually very like closed in. So but I didn't know anybody, and my husband was like, "I'm gonna put it on Facebook, that you need friends." I'm like, "That's so weird. Like,
You're like,
don't do that.
don't do that. Yeah, for sure, for
Your help
sure.
with this." Yeah. And so when I got into real estate and stuff, and I was talking to my clients, and they would always ask me like, "Do you know of anybody who would be close to my new house?" Or like, those kind of things. And I kind of just came up with the idea of like maybe a happy hour, and then I was like, well, how do we get everybody kind of in front of each other, because sometimes people like miss the person who's at the other end of the room. And I thought of speed dating, but I'm like, that's weird because we're obviously not speed dating because we're spouses, we have our
For sure.
significant
Yeah.
others, right? And then somebody was like, "Well, your speed dating is just for friends," and so I was like, "That's really true, actually." So, and I kind of teetered with the idea of the whole speed dating for friends title because I thought it still sounded kind of bizarre. But when we started throwing the marketing pieces together and stuff, um, it really ended up working out. My marketing girl, she actually the first the first draft that she made of our flyer had like hearts and stuff all over it, and I was like, not really.
Yeah, you were like, hold on,
Yeah,
we need to
not
dial that back a
that
little bit.
love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we ended up adding like smiley emojis and martini glasses on it, and then it actually looked like
Friends.
yeah,
Yeah,
friends, what it
yeah.
was supposed to be. So, but we've done it, and it's been really great thus far.
So where do you usually hold these? Or do you hold them at a place that you could also do like a happy hour?
Yeah, so actually in my neighborhood, in Stafford, there is a bistro by our pool, and we rent the space out there. and we end up setting the tables up, and we rent out the full restaurant for the night. So
Do you share that expense with like your vendor partners?
absolutely, yeah. So we've shared the expense with our lender thus far, and then our hope for our next event is to bring in some local businesses like Pure Bar. And there's some other stuff that's opening next to us. We're a relatively new kind of hub of an area, so to be able to get other business names out
That's
there.
that's brilliant because then yeah, you're really collaborating at a deep level. So I'm assuming then you guys are all co-marketing or will be co-marketing, especially
Hmm.
when you bring that. So that gives you the opportunity to spread your brand, right? Because you do have a brand. The
Hmm.
name of your team is
The
Valiant
Valiant Group.
Group. Yeah.
Hmm.
So to get that brand even further for brand recognition, that's really, really smart. I love that. So, how far in advance do you start marketing this, right? Because one of the things I'm struggling with right now is I feel like we start too early and we lose them, right? So,
Yeah.
what have you found that really works to get, people showing up?
So we were actually starting too late when we first started because it was kind of throw the idea together and let's see how many people will show up and kind of go from there. And then I was talking with my coach, my maps coach, about like a follow up, and they were saying, you do like 2 months in advance, you kind of put that feeler out there, like, hey, 8 weeks before it's coming. And then the month out, you start having people RSVP. So this is the official start to the invite. And then 2 weeks out, we send a reminder to the people who are emailed already registered. And then we also post again, obviously. And then the weeks leading up to the event, we're constantly sending out an RSVP reminder and still having people sign up. And we usually cut off the sign up for it about the week prior, unless we still don't have like a ton of people, and then we'll continue to have the registration. But we've been able to fill those spots pretty quickly.
That's awesome. I love that. And then I'm assuming you're following up with them afterwards, after the event as well, just
Yeah,
to keep that conversation going.
yeah, they go into our database drip campaigns and stuff, and we try not to send them like just real estate stuff. We'll do like recipes and stuff to just keep them engaged, and then we invite them to following events too.
Yeah, I
So
think that's really smart. And yeah, you're right. I mean, like nobody wants to be sold to. We already have that. You're coming
right.
from contribution, right? And your contribution here is meet more people, right? Because
Hmm.
I mean, I think even people that aren't relocating, especially coming out of this season of life called COVID and
Hmm.
these lockdowns that a lot of us have come out of and not socializing, right? I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are probably trying to figure out how do we make friends again? How do we meet people, right?
Okay.
And what a
I
cool
the
concept.
the biggest thing that I've realized, probably just within the last couple of months, is people are just really content being at home, right? And so many people I talk to, they're like, because of COVID, we've been comfortable just being at home. So we're trying to get out, we're trying to do things. And so the more you invite them to stuff, the more likely they are to show up even now because they are trying to get back to normalcy and, do other things other than sit on the couch at home.
I love it because I mean, for you in your neighborhood, this is becoming like a part of your farming,
Yeah.
right? So it's super, super smart. It's also fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, can we do activities that are fun for us too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is like I just make a small plug at the event. I don't even like I'm not like, oh yeah, I sell real estate. I live in the neighborhood. If somebody asks, obviously I'll engage that conversation. However, like when we're starting off the speed dating part, I say like, I'm Dilara Wentz. This is our event, the Valiant Group, and we always love to help military families and other families. So if you know of anybody who's been thinking about buying or selling, or if you've been thinking about it, please let us know. And the great part about my farm is that most of most of the people who live here are either retired military, are active duty, or CIA, FBI. I mean, they're all sort of in that category that I, appeal to that I like.
Yeah. Yeah. That is your target audience for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's such a cool thing. And I know you started this out this year, right? Was it?
Yeah. Last year was
Oh,
our
last
very
year.
first event. Yeah.
Yeah. So your ROI is really starting to roll in on this. I'm assuming we know we have to do it a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
consistency is key. So
Yep. It's
yeah.
definitely um, meeting new people to add into our database, and then also just to know, just in general, it's definitely giving us back.
Well, that's awesome. And I'm excited to see as you add these other business owners and especially as your community grows and you become the person that they want to, you're becoming this business owner welcome wagon, right?
Yeah.
But you're also like a welcome wagon to the people in the neighborhood, and
Yep.
people are going to move and come and go and they're going to think of you because you and the Valiant group are in their face all the time. And I just thought this was the smart. I mean, listen, I love a good pie day, right?
Yeah.
I love a pie
We do
day.
too.
Yeah, I love all these different things. I love photos with Santa and I love all these different things. And we've got some folks coming on to talk about those things. But I just thought this was such a unique thing that you're doing that I couldn't be the only one watching it. And I know I'm not the only one watching it because we have so many mutual friends. But there's a lot of people in my sphere and agent partner friends that I thought needed to hear about this from you and
Hmm.
obviously learn more. So the other thing I'm going to ask you is make sure you get us a playbook so we can share that out with everybody
Yep.
because I know this is going to be a hot one and I am so excited and I'm super thankful. I'm not keeping you long. Look, I promised you it'd be
Hmm.
short and sweet. But I'm so thankful that you came on and chatted with me about this because I thought it was really cool and
Yeah.
super important. And look, real life, I just realized that there is a hanger back here.
I've got Oogie Boogie
Yeah,
Man
there
here.
you go.
I
I
got
love
that one
it.
for
Right?
Christmas.
Yeah. So this is just real life, folks, right?
Yeah.
Real estate agent life. Yeah, no, thanks so much. And everybody, we're going to share all of the contact information for you so they know how to reach you and definitely connect on Instagram and Facebook with Dilara because she's doing some cute videos and stuff and her team are doing some great stuff. So I love seeing it. And thanks so much, friend. I appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, stay
Appreciate it.
tuned. Next one coming up. If you want to chat with me and tell me a little bit about what you're doing, share it with all our friends, just let me know.